this is Angela. This video is thanks to my friend Danielle. So first of all, thank you for getting me into my yoga pants and on the mat, because it's been a little while. And secondly, thank you for the very specific question. It's always really helpful when the questions are very specific. So the complaint or symptom is pain in the mid-back, so right in the thoracic area, and specifically in the front right. It's called the PSIS, so posterior iliac spine, posterior anterior iliac spine, right in the front, in the back, and on the side. So the description is the feeling of as though like you can't lift out of the body. There's such restriction on the sides and the front. So, so I created a sequence specifically for that. Instinctively, the first thing I thought of was that this has a lot to do with breathing, the feeling of being weighted in gravity so that the body is being pushed towards the ground, has a lot to do with breathing. So, so for the first 5 minutes at least, and even longer if you want to pause and continue the posture yourself beyond the time frame of the video, is to spend this time concentrating on breathing. So usually in yoga, we start in a seated meditation pose. And for a lot of people, this isn't the ideal position for breathing so that the breath feels easy. Because if we're concerned about the physical symptoms, the fact that we're meditating isn't really important. Because if the physical symptoms are overwhelming, it's going to be very hard to concentrate on meditation. And so what we're doing here is focusing instead on the physical symptoms. So sitting meditation posture is not the ideal to focus on breathing, in my opinion. So there's two options. One is wide-legged child's pose. So the knees are as wide as the mat. You bring the hands forward, the big toes are touching, and just rest the forehead. The position of the hands is not very relevant. You can cross the hands and rest the forehead on the hands. You can leave the hands wide. You can leave the hands even back, further back. The point is to be completely relaxed in this posture, that there's very little strain on the body. And you inflate the belly on the inhale, and on the exhale, let the belly deflate. So you can stay here at least a few minutes. For some also, this isn't the most relaxing posture for the breath. For some it is. So the benefits of being in this posture is that gravity is helping the belly expand. So weight is encouraging the belly down and the spine down and long. But for some, maybe this isn't the most comfortable. So if this brings strain or stress at all, the other alternative is to start in corpse pose. So laying on the back, just do a bit of an angle. Make any little movements and adjustments so that the body is completely sort of sinking into the ground. And if you need to, you can put some support under the knees if it's more comfortable to elevate the knees with blocks or cushions or pillows or anything. So again, we're trying to encourage breath into the belly and the chest here. If it's easier for you to connect with these sensations by putting the hand on the belly or the belly and the chest, Then that's good. It's not important how we breathe, if the breath is long or short, smooth or choppy. Just that we're allowing this time to breathe. Breathe relaxed, without a particular intention. And just keep going until there's no more real concentration on the breath. It's just happening all by itself. And then usually after we've had a few big sighs, the big sighs happen on their own when the body is relaxing deeper and deeper. After we've had a few big sighs, you bend the knees, roll to the right, and hang out a little bit in the fetal position, at least a few breaths, and experience what it feels like to breathe on the side. And then when you're ready, come up to sitting. Okay. Now we should have already felt a little bit more relaxed from taking the time to breathe. And then we're going to come into all fours position. So the hands are as wide as the shoulders, the knees are as wide as the hips. And the hips are stacked over the knees, so we're neither in front or behind. Just right over, stable. And we're just going to do cat-cow, super easy but really, really effective and important. So inhale, arching the back. Exhale, rounding the back. Following our own rhythm, no particular speed. And so we should never be holding our breath through this movement. It should be comfortable. And 2 more breaths here, encouraging the maximum amplitude of the movement. Now placing one hand under the nose, we're going to lift the arm up in a gentle twist. Now here we don't want just the arm to be moving, but the low back, mid back, upper back, and then the arm is just the extension. And we stretch like that each side, again at the rhythm of your breath. Super simple. You see this in a lot of yoga classes. And if you haven't done it in a while, I know you're thanking me. Super effective, gentle twist. And we'll do one more on each side. And in that particular posture, I don't really care how the hips are moving. They'll sway from side to side. We're just focusing on the mid-body. So the next posture, just take a look before you go into it yourself. It starts the same way. We're going to raise one arm and thread the needle right underneath. Replace the hand to support, and then just hang out here. The pressure should be on the top corner of the head. Some people have really flexible necks and want to reach their ear to the ground. Try to tuck the chin in and keep just the pressure on the top corner of the head. And we're going to hang out here for a little while. So the hand that's supporting is putting a little bit of pressure into the ground to encourage the twist. And if the neck is flexible and if you're really comfortable, you can turn the neck slightly so that the corner of the eye can gaze up at the ceiling. Not necessary, but if it's there, if it's accessible, you can do it. Pushing a little more into the hand that supports, and then lifting completely up, back to center, and we're going to switch sides. Lift up, thread the needle, and rest. Replace the hand to support. Push the hand into the ground to encourage the twist. We'll take 3 more breaths here. And pushing into the hand, come up. Now this next posture is, it really gets the space in between the vertebrae. So the little tiny muscles that work so hard to keep us erect in an upright position, this one gets specifically these little muscles. So it might be something you've never felt before. So we lift again. It starts the same way. Thread the needle. Now the supporting hand goes above the head and back. So don't force this more than what's accessible. Arm is straight. Again, chin is tucked. And we can take some real time in this posture to absorb all the feeling. New sensation in the thoracic spine, in between the ribs. And then as there's some ease in this posture, you can walk the hand up and back a little bit more. Again, not forcing beyond our capacity. And then bringing the hand back to support, coming up. And switching sides. Inhale, thread the needle, and bring the hand above and back. We'll just hold this for 3 more breaths, but feel free to hang out longer. And then the hand comes back, lifting up, pushing the weight into the hand. Okay. Now we're going to do an easy version of a lunge. So in a lot of yoga classes, we do like a vinyasa where we're going from posture to posture to posture through this sun salutation sequence. Well, this little mini class is just focus on something specific. So we don't necessarily need to go through the sun salutation, but if you want to, you can. So we're going to bring the leg to the side and to the front. This is how we get our foot between the hands, okay? This is sufficient. So we want to be leaning forward in a lunge so that we already feel a little stretch on hip flexor, that's right here, quad, psoas, which is deep, and even the abdomen. So right now, hands on the floor. If you have any back tenderness, tuck the pelvis in a little bit. If you're not really sure what tucking the pelvis in is, just keep the lower abdomen a little bit tight. Okay. And then we're going to come up onto the knee. Gentle stretch for the psoas, no pressure here, it doesn't matter what it looks like. We just want to feel the breath in the groin, front hip, awaken this area. And then we're going to bring the hands back to the ground. We're going to stretch out that back leg. If this is already a big stretch, you can stay here or lift up onto the knee. This is as far as we're going to go today, but we're going to lift from the chest. So rather than pushing the hands and forcing yourself up, that really attacks the low back. We're going to lift up from the chest. And you might feel a nice little stretch in the abdomen. Push the heel back to keep the stretch in the front of the hip too. And then we're going to lower down, hands to the ground, and we're going to do another gentle stretch. So open, close, and then the opposite. Again, the chest does the action and the arm is the extension. Okay, and to go back, we just walk the foot to the side and then back down, and we can take a rest in child's pose. And if you're in child's pose, you can do a little no with the head, loosen up the neck, and then we'll come back and do the sequence on the other side. So foot to the side, to the front, and we're just hanging out here. Move from side to side if you wish. Bring your attention to the front of the hip. And then we're going to come up onto the knee. Lifting again from the chest. We'll just run through this a little bit faster, but feel free to pause and hang out longer. Keep straightening that back leg to really direct the energy of the front of the hip. And then gentle twist. And then small rest in child's pose. Now I'm going to give a few alternate poses here using the chair. Now typically I would say you need a yoga chair, but for these postures you don't actually need a yoga chair. Any chair will do for these. So you sit on the edge of the chair, go to the right first, so I'm not going to do the mirror, I'm going to go to my right first. And then we just do warrior one. Well, we're going to do a lunge first, so we're going to keep the knee, heel up. Hold the back of the chair with this hand. And you can raise the arm to the side of the ear. Now this has all the elements of a lunge and all the benefits of being in the chair and not having weight, not having to lift your entire body weight in the posture. And then we'll go right into a side angle stretch. So now the foot is at 45 degrees, elbow on the knee, and reach up. So already we're getting the side of the body, pushing into the ground, all the way to the tips of the finger. So here you should feel a little stretch of the hip. And then coming up, to come out of the posture, we bring the back knee forward, and the same thing on the other side. Always feel free to hang out longer in these postures. Just giving you some alternatives. Put our chair aside for the moment. So we're going to do some wide-legged forward bends. So if you have a pattern on your floor, this helps. So we're going to grab behind the knees, open the legs up. Now if you have a pattern on your floor, or a marker on your yoga mat, you're going to try and open both legs to the same point. So if there's a line, try and put your heels on the line. Typically what happens is one half of our body or one leg can open wider than the other, but we want to keep them symmetrical. So it might mean closing one a little bit to meet the other. So the feet are flexed, toes pointing towards the ceiling, and you can lift the buttocks so that you're on the sits bones. Now already in this posture, the legs are very activated. You can see the quads are lifted, but we're reaching out from the heels, so we're lengthening the legs. Now what I like to do with these forward bends, because we have such a strong tendency to round the back, is to lift the hands up and keep them up as we dive forward. So keep chest lifted, arms lifted, feet flexed, as slowly but surely gravity brings us length in the back and towards the ground, but we're not reaching any destination. We're just trying to keep the back straight. Always the feet flexed. We're going to inhale, reach forward and up. And now we're going to come into our twist. So we're going to go to the left side first. No, I want to go to the right side first so I can twist towards the left. So twisting towards the left is going to open up the right side of the body first. So we're going to go down towards the right. It's going to be a little bit unusual if you haven't done this one before. So you're going to go as low as you can to the ground on the right side, and then walk the hands over to the left. Let the elbow hit the inside of the knee. Catch the head and reach up. So feet always flex. Doesn't matter how far you go. This is quite a powerful stretch. and also one that you can hang out in for quite a while. So reaching from the hip, lifting up out of the hip and reaching all the way to the fingertips. And also drawing the chest up to the sky. And then we'll inhale, come up. Feel free to hang out there longer. If it calls to you, we're going to do the other side. So come down as far as you can. Roll over to the side. The elbow hits the inside of the knee. Catch the head and lift up and out. Feet are always flexed, pushing from the hips down into the ground and reaching up to the tip of the fingers. And then inhaling, coming up. And then to come out, we catch the back of the knees, lift up and come out of it. We can even round the back slightly. Oh. There was one other posture I wanted to do. So we're going to go back into our wide-legged stance. Doesn't matter too much how wide the legs are in this posture. We're going to do a little movement. This is going to bring a little bit of joint mobility, okay? So feet flexed. You can bring the hands just to the back to lift the chest. And we're going to rotate the foot in. Oh my goodness. And out. In and out. So if you have a lot of flexibility in the ankle, you want the movement to happen from the whole leg, right? So the whole leg is rotating in and out. And then we're going to switch legs. So the other leg goes in and out. And then catch the back of the knees and come out. So what these little joint movements do is it really brings synovial fluid. It's the fluid that lubricates the joints. It lubricates the joints by making that movement. It helps the synovial fluid to move through the joint. So those kind of movements are really interesting. Okay. We're going to do a few back bends of increasing depth. Okay, so the question that Danielle asked me was, I don't have blocks, I don't have a lot of props, so we're going to do it without blocks. Typically I would do this with blocks, but I'm going to do it with books. So this is new to me. I'm going to grab a bunch of books off my shelf. I want it to be quite high. That should do. Okay, so I'm going to do this a little bit on an angle so you can see. So you keep the feet hip width apart. Actually, first we're going to keep the feet a little bit wider, as wide as the mat, and we're going to let first the left leg drop to the middle without pushing. Just let gravity drop it. Lift up on the inhale and switch sides. So again, this is one that brings mobility to the joint, helps the synovial fluid, but it's also a movement we don't do very often, so it stretches both the inside of the leg all the way up to the ribs. We'll do that one more time on each side. And then we're going to walk our feet back to hip width apart. And since we're in this great posture already, we're going to do a little bit of Feldenkrais inspired movement. So you're going to catch the elbows. This is for the mid back. And let the elbows drop right and then left. For the moment, you're going to keep looking up at the ceiling. This again is a mobility movement, stretch, really to bring the synovial fluid circulating. And then you're going to let the head join the movement. This should feel delicious. Take your time with this one. There's no harm to this movement, so you could do it for quite a while. Okay. Now we're going to go to our books. I'm covering myself. So we're going to bring the feet hip width apart. Walk the feet close to the hips. So I'm sliding a little bit, but bring the heels close to the buttocks. We're going to lift up the hips. Try not to let the knees splay. Keep them parallel. We're going to come up, lift the chest. So bring the shoulder blades slightly underneath the back. Come up onto the balls of the feet. Lift even higher and then go grab and slide. Whoops. Okay, that didn't work. I think my pile is too high. Let's remove one book. Okay, so lift and slide the books. There we go, under the hips. Okay, so the books are supporting the sacrum. Your back should be neither rounded nor arching, but kind of neutral, just resting on the books. So we're going to just relax here for a moment with the arms out. If you have a lot of tension in the front of the abdomen to the hip flexors, this is nice already. It's just a supportive, gentle back bend. Now what we're going to do is lift the foot. So just come onto the balls of the foot, the toes, and then walk the foot a little bit closer and let the heel sort of relax and come closer to the ground. Now if you're really flexible and this area of the body is not an issue, it's possible the heel comes right to the ground. But if this is a tense area, the heel's going to stay hovering and it's going to feel like an amazing stretch. So we don't want the knees to come out to the side, so we keep the knees parallel. And then just hang. And you can really hang out here for a while. And then if it becomes easier, you can lift up again, walk the foot a little bit closer, and then let the heel hang again. This is an amazing stretch for the quad, psoas, groin, low abdomen. And then we're going to switch sides. Come up onto the balls of the foot, ball of the other foot. Walk the foot closer and let the heel hang. And then adjust again. And then we're going to come back, both heels on the ground, lift up the hips, come under the balls of the feet to lift even higher, and slide the books out of the way so the hips are back again on the ground. And now we're going to just let the knees go from side to side. So windmill the legs from side to side, bring a gentle twist into the body. And then we're going to roll to the right and come back up to sitting. Put the books out of the way for the moment. And you know what? The question about props is really pertinent because these props cost a lot of money. You know, traditional sticky mats cost about $20. If you can afford it, great. If you have to do yoga on the floor, do it on the floor. There's no problem. Okay. So I'm going to do a couple more back bends. Let's see how much time it is. It's a little bit longer than half an hour already. So feel free to cut out the postures that you can't do or they don't feel real comfortable. I'm going to give you a couple more back bends. So, actually I'm going to do a seated one first and then we'll do the one on the chair. I'm going to do it a bit on an angle here. So Supta Virasana, you bring the knees close. The heels are a bit wide, just a bit, just to clear the sits bones. You're going to lift the flesh from the knees towards the face. We're going to come forward and grab behind the knee, the space in between the two muscles of the calf, and slide it towards the ankle. So some people say slide it outwards. That's really going to create a torque on the knee, which is completely unnecessary. So keeping the knees close, we're going to come back. So first, just on the tips of the hands, fingertips. You can bring the chin tucked or let the head relax. And to come out, tuck the chin. And we go straight into a downward dog, pushing the heels towards the ground. Doesn't matter too much the posture here. We're just stretching the backs of the legs. And then we come down again, knees close, heels wide, clear the skin behind the knees and the front of the knees. And we're going to come back. Now we're just going to walk the hands further back, and if it's accessible, bend the elbows. That's as far as we're going to go. And we'll come up, tuck the chin, and go right into our downward dog. Now I'm going to show an alternative of this is going to be like the next sort of sequence of a back bend with the chair. So I like to put something to support the head. So I'm going to use my books again. So we sit in the chair, and now this is a yoga chair, but you can use a kitchen table chair, no problem, as long as it's not flimsy and it can hold your weight. So we catch the back of the chair, rest the upper body on the chair, and then go find the books, which I would have put a little bit higher for me. And then we just hang out here. You can keep your hands on the chair. This is delightful. Now there's a lot of sensation in the mid-back in this posture. Try to surrender. So what I mean by that is don't hold the body off the chair to try to avoid the sensation. Slowly with each exhale, let go. Now, because this is a restorative posture, you're completely held by the chair and the books. You can hang out here for quite a while. Now to come out of the posture, you're going to hold the back of the chair, tuck the chin strongly, lift yourself up, and then hang out here with the head hanging. Okay, so the head is released forward. I don't know if you can see. This posture can induce what feels a little bit like a tension headache. It feels, but it's very temporary. It's sort of a toxin releasing posture. So you might have that feeling of a little bit of a headache. But as soon as you hang out with the head tucked, it goes away. Stay there as long as you need to with the head hanging. So we're going to finish with two more postures. One is a twist. I'm going to try my best to move the camera to show you this twist. It's a little bit tricky. We'll try it. Okay. So you lay down. Okay. Okay. Cross the right leg over the left. You're going to lift the hips and shift them to the right, and then drop the knees to the left. You can see that in doing that, my spine is aligned. Now, you keep the shoulders touching the ground. If you're inspired to look to the right, this is how we do it. Shift the left ear to the left shoulder, and then rotate over to the right. You'll see again, my neck is aligned. It's not necessary to have this part of the twist. You certainly get enough of the twist while still looking up at the ceiling. Feel free to put a block under the knee. What I like to do is just rest a hand on the knee. So this twist really affects the whole back. You'll notice that twists affects the organs. We always put our knees to the left first to follow the elimination. So we want to affect the ascending colon, transverse, and then descending colon. If we do it in the opposite way, this can lead to constipation. So twists are magnificent. We can hold them for a really long time, but we're going to switch sides. So with control, lift the hips back up, cross the left leg over the right, lift and shift the hips over to the left, and then drop the legs to the right. And if you wish, bring the hand, and you see my hand, onto the knee. Shoulder blades are both resting on the ground. If the leg is floating, it doesn't matter. Point is not to be holding the leg up. So with each exhale, letting the weight of the leg surrender to the ground. And if you want to put a block or a book or a bunch of books or anything, a pillow underneath that knee, just so it feels like there's a point of contact, then feel free to do that. And then with control, lift the legs up. We're going to roll to the right and come up to seating. And I'm going to put my block back. And we're going to do my camera back, my phone really. And we're going to do one more restorative posture. So we did some back bends, some twists, and we're going to counter that with a forward bend. So you bring the feet wide. So this is a Supta Baddha Konasana posture, but the heels are very wide from the hips. We're going to let the hands rest on the feet. And in this posture, the back can be round, so no problem. Let the head hang. So the whole back of body is stretching. And just if you want to make a little adjustment to lift the buttocks back so we're even more into a forward bend, feel free to do that. So letting the weight of the head release towards the ground. You might feel a big stretch in the neck or the low back. Feel free to hang out here as long as you need, but to come out, we're going to let the back round and come up one vertebrae at a time. Again, a deeply restorative posture. You can let that be your final posture, or hang out a little bit in Shavasana, or another restorative, relaxing posture. So you can see that no props required. And hopefully that answered your specific pain issues. And as always, feel free to use some of the back bends or the 4 bends, maybe not all of them, some of the twists, eliminate and hold the postures that you love for as long as you need to. Namaste.